Hello everyone. Let me warmly welcome you all on behalf of IACT to the world of international financial reporting. First of all, I really congratulate all of you for your step towards your professional development because trust me, not many people do that. So let's move and see what we have as per agenda. Today under module 1, we will cover part A, International Sources of Authority, wherein we will talk about the regulatory system which regulates the International Accounting Standard Board. And the International Accounting Standard Board is the board who has the responsibility of creating international financial reporting standards. We will also see the structure of International Accounting Standard Board and how IFRS are produced. Then we will move to consider that how a company managed the change to the IFRS for the first time, and that will be followed by looking at year-to-year progress towards a harmonization, and we can also say the adoption of accounting standard on global scale. Then the benefits of implementation of IFRS. Afterwards, we will move to the conceptual framework of financial reporting. Guys, this is actually an attempt to set out the concept that underlie the preparation and presentation of financial structure for its users. We will also refer the list of all the international accounting standard and IFRS, which will help us to know the existing accounting standards on relevant topics. So before we move on, let me mention that initially each country used to have their own GAAP, which is generally accepted accounting principles. But with globalization, international business transactions, merger and acquisitions, setup of multinational companies, it leads to the need of a platform for the common accounting in the world economy. And that's why we all are falling under the international financial reporting world. So let's roll the ball. First of all, we have regulatory framework. Regulatory framework is the most important element in ensuring relevant and faithful presentation of financial information. Yes, so without a single body who took the responsibility for producing financial reporting standard and a framework of journal accepted principles, then there would be no means of enforcing compliance with accounting regulations. And that's why this regulatory framework is very important. So the need for regulatory framework is to meet the requirement of all the stakeholders, which includes the shareholders and all other users. The regulatory framework provides a principle-based approach as compared to a rule-based approach. So the principle-based approach is an approach which is based on the principles rather than the set rules. And that's why the countries are welcoming the approach of International Accounting Standard Board. The main objective is to raise the standard financial reporting and to bring global harmonization of accounting standard. By this global harmonization, we refers to that the whole world will gonna accept a same platform for the accounting. Global harmonization provides a platform for wider investment choice because then the financials will be more comparable and the information will be more transparent. It provides the efficient capital market, lower cost of capital, and enhanced business development. Because globally, the user of financial information or financial statement needs comparative information and transparency to make the economic decision making. And this harmonization of accounting around the world really help to meet that objective. Moving to the International Accounting Standard Board, which is IASB. So this board is an independent, privately funded body and that has the responsibility to develop and approve International Financial Reporting Standard IFRS, and they work under the oversight of IFRS Foundation. There are certain key important points over here which really help us to understand that what actually International Accounting Standard Board is doing and when it comes into the picture. So the predecessor body of International Accounting Standard Board was IASC, International Accounting Standard Committee, and this International Accounting Standard Committee was founded in 1973, and from its formation it worked with the objective to issue basic standard, and those basic standard called as International Accounting Standard IAS. Then, with the purpose of shaping International Accounting Standard Committee for the future, International Accounting Standard Board organization was founded in April 2001. International Accounting Standard Board adopted all existed international accounting standard that time and now superseding them with the issuance of International Financial Reporting Standards. So far, we have 15 IFRS which has been issued by International Accounting Standard Board. Now let's move and see what is the structure of International Financial Reporting Standards Foundation. So we have IFRS Foundation Monitoring Board, which has the public accountability to ensure that the whole working with respect to the framing and creation of International Financial Reporting Standard is going on perfectly. Then IFRS Foundation trustees, they take care of the governance and oversight. We also have IFRS Foundation, wherein International Accounting Standard Boards creates and frame and prepares International Financial Reporting Standards, and there is an interpretation committee who do the interpretations after the creation of International Financial Reporting Standards. There is an advisory council, which is IFRS advisory councils, and they advise on various upcoming accounting issues, and they also give advices on existing accounting issues. ASAF is Accounting Standard Advisory Forum. So this forum is an independent standard setting and take care of relevant activities, and representatives of international standard setting committees are the part of ASAF. Now we will see the role of all the bodies, which is on the next slide. So the scope and application of IFRS, wherein the role of standard setting bodies is as follows. IFRS Foundation has the responsibility for the standard setting body or process as a whole. They ensure that standard setting bodies have appropriate work plan and they also finance them accordingly. International Accounting Standard Board is an independent standard setting body of IFRS Foundation. They develop and publish IFRS. And we will also see shortly how IFRS got developed. International Accounting Standard Board also includes the publication of consultation documents such as exposure draft and discussion papers. We also have IFRS Advisory Council, which is IFRS AC. They advises the International Accounting Standard Board on a range of issues such as the appropriateness of its work plan and also the future priorities. Not only this, they also advise on the practical and the implementation issue of each project. The role of IFRS Interpretation Committee, which is IFRS SIC is to review accounting issues in the context of IFRS, and they provide authoritative guidance on them. Now let's see how a standard develops. So first of all, let's start with a research program wherein initial research taken place. IASB established an advisory committee, as we know, to give advice on the issue which is arising in the project, and the consultation with the advisory committee and the IFRS advisory council occurs throughout this project work. IASB develops and publishes discussion paper for the public comment, and this public comment normally has a period of around 120 days. After that, they come up with a proposal, and this proposal is done with the research program. This followed by the standard program, wherein on the basis of the receipt and review of comments, International Accounting Standard Board develop and publish an exposure draft for the public comment. Following this, it leads to the publication of IFRS. Then, after the publication of IFRS, there is also review program, which is nothing but the post-implementation review of any international financial reporting standard. Now move to the situation that how a company manage with the changes to IFRS. So we have IFRS 1, which is first time adoption of international financial reporting standard, and they gives guidance to the entities that how they can apply IFRS for the first time. So it also contains the topic about transition planning. So the opening IFRS, wherein how to deal with the statement of financial position, SOFP, is, as we all know, is nothing but the balance sheet. So wherein an entity prepare and present an opening IFRS statement of financial position at the date of transition to IFRS as the starting point for the IFRS accounting. We also have IAS 1, which is presentation of financial statement. It requires the presentation and comparative of at least 3 statements of financial position and 2 of each other statement. So the other statement includes the income statement, which in international context we called as statement of profit or loss and OCI, and in the abbreviation we use it as SOCI. And also SCIE, which is statement of capital and equity. To manage the change to IFRS, there is a transition process, and this transition process has a step-by-step approach, wherein first it is accounting policies. So an entity should select accounting policies that comply with IFRS effective at the end of first IFRS reporting period. Then derecognition of asset and liability, because as per the previous GAAP statement of financial position, it may contain such items that do not qualify for recognition under the new IFRS. For example, IFRS does not permit capitalization of research expenses or relocation expenses or staff training. So if an entity is capitalizing or having any such item in their statement of financial position, then they need to de-recognize those assets and liabilities from their books, considering the fact they are moving to the IFRS world. Under the recognition of new asset and liability, it refers to that we need to recognize certain assets and liabilities which is as per the new international financial reporting standard. For example, deferred tax balance, and certain provisions such as environmental and decommissioning cost, which we will understand surely in detail in respective standards. Reclassification of assets and liabilities is, for example, compounded financial instruments. We have financial instruments which need to be split between the liability and the equity component, and that we will study in detail under the topic financial instrument. Measurement is also a part of transition process wherein we need to find out the value at which the assets and liabilities measured and reflected in our statement of financial position, and this may differ under different IFRS. So this is the transition process for managing the change to IFRS. Now let's move to the progress towards global harmonization, wherein we will see that how year by year the progress of this global harmonization leads to the adoption of IFRS by various countries. So as we all know, in 2001 IFRS Foundation was established. In 2002 all the European Union countries, EU countries agreed to adopt IFRS from 2005. And in 2002 itself, International Accounting Standard Board and Financial Accounting Standard Board. So this FASB, Financial Accounting Standard Board, is the Board of America. They agree and joint program to improve the respective standards and bring convergence. In 2003, various other countries like Australia, Hong Kong, New Zealand and South Africa, they agreed to adopt IFRS from 2005. In 2004, International Accounting Standard Board and Accounting Standard Board of Japan agreed to converge IFRS, and it introduced Japanese GAAP, and they approved it in 2009. In 2005, almost 25 countries switched from national journal accepted accounting principles to the International Financial Reporting Standards. So there must be a lot of other things going on during these years, but whatever we have bring to the table is the most important things which happened during those years towards the step of global harmonization in the accounting world. In 2006, China also adopted accounting standard which is substantially in line with IFRS, and that was with the goal of full convergence. In 2007, even in America, in US, SEC is Security Exchange Commission, as we have SEBI in India. So similarly, in America, SEC is there which take care of public investment in public companies. So they permit non-US companies to report using IFRS, provided on the basis of the consultation of the domestic use. But that was a very major step wherein in America also the people start talking about and even implementation or learning about International Financial Reporting Standard, considering the fact that they will receive the reports under IFRS. In 2008, Brazil, Canada, Chile, Israel and Korea, Malaysia and Mexico also announces their intention to adopt IFRS. 2009 was a period wherein G20 group or the leaders support works of IASB, and they really called for a rapid move towards global accounting standards. 2010 onwards, if you see, the journey is going on. The countries are accepting and adopting IFRS either as it is or with convergence. In India also, we have adopted IFRS with convergence, and that is from the financial year 2015-16. For more detail, you can go to the MCS website, Ministry of Company Affairs site, and refer the notification which they issued in February 2015 to get the status and the roadmap of IFRS in India. Now let's move on and see what is the definition of IFRS and what are its main benefits. IFRS stands for International Financial Reporting Standards, and as per the technical definition, it is a unique, high quality, easily understandable global accounting standards. It is also known as principle-based set of standards which are easy to understand and apply. So the major benefits of IFRS, though we have a lot of benefits with respect to it leads to global harmonization, transparency, comparability and all. The key benefits are, which is mentioned on your screen, is reporting in IFRS could make it really easier to raise the capital in global market because then the financials will be easy to understand by everyone since they are on the same platform. And in case you want to raise capital in the global market, then you can submit those financials to the respective venture capitalist and they may turn up and give you capital. This would also eliminate the cost of reinstatement into local standard, though this will be eventually happen, but eventually no doubt there will be way less cost of restatement of the local standard into IFRS because it will be almost on the international platform. IFRS also make the consolidation process easier, and IFRS bring are used increasingly worldwide, so it will make the appraisal of potential acquisition targets more straightforward. So the acquisitions will be more easy and straightforward. After completing the regulatory framework, let's move to the conceptual framework. So the conceptual framework is a statement of journal accepted accounting principle which forms the frame of reference for financial reporting. I told you already guys that this is actually an attempt which is set out the concept, the basic concept that underlying how the preparation and the presentation of financial statement is done by an entity for its users. So the purpose of the conceptual framework is to assist the board in developing and reviewing IFRS and promoting global harmonization. It is also to assist national standard setting bodies, to assist the preparers of financial statement in applying IFRS, to assist auditors in forming an opinion, to assist user of financial statement, which includes the investors, government and all other stakeholders in interpreting information contained in financial statements. Conceptual framework also provides interested parties with information about how IFRS are formulated. So we will shortly see how the conceptual framework is running. Before that, let's see and refer certain keynotes that the conceptual framework is not an IFRS. It does not actually define standards. Nothing in it override any specific IFRS. And if there is a conflict between the framework and an IFRS arises, then no doubt IFRS prevails. Because we all know guys that if we have a specific law that prevails over the general law. So this conceptual framework is a general understanding. It applies to all commercial, industrial and business reporting entities including public entities and private entities. Now see the scope of conceptual framework. So the conceptual framework actually deal with the objective of financial statement, qualitative characteristic of useful financial information, what is the underlying assumption of financial statements, elements of financial statements, recognition and measurement of elements of financial statement, and the concept of capital and capital maintenance. And now we will see one by one the scope of conceptual framework in detail.